Swisher. And she's presenting the title of her presentation, Reconnecting Adolescents to Embodied Natural Wisdom, a Vision of the Future. Thank you, Anna.
I'll just make a quick announcement. There's someone parked in the driveway. It's a red little something, cute car. If it smells, please
Hi, everybody. You guys are so beautiful. Thank you for being here. I'm going to invite you all just for a minute to take a comfortable seat if you haven't already, and kind of settle into your body and gently either close your eyes or soften your gaze. And just take a few breaths. Settle down. Let the energy lower down through your body. Feel your feet on the floor, and the earth that's holding you. Feel your seat touching the chair, the wooden underneath you. Feel the food from the nourishing lunch in your stomach, digesting maybe. And take a breath and feel your chest lift. Feel your heart beating. Feel life taking place in your body. If your body could tell a story, what would it say? Today I'm going to tell you my body's story and what I've learned from it, and how I want to change the world. With that, you can slowly open your eyes. Welcome back to the room. So, I never thought I was disconnected from my body to start with. I grew up diabetic my whole life. My whole family was in Western medicine. I knew all about, my body and my health. But little did I know how much I was actually missing, and how resentful I was for my body for all the things that weren't right about it. I spent my entire life measuring myself against other people, which I think a lot of us do. I was looking for ways to be better, to feel more complete, things to do to feel more whole. And you know what? Nobody ever told me that I was already whole as I was. Nobody ever invited me even to love my body, much less told me that I should. And no one ever gave me a few minutes to be quiet and to, close my eyes and look inside and see all the goodness and the abundance in my own heart. And then one day, about 3 years ago, I went to a yoga class that changed my life. And then another, and then another, and then another. I was blown wide open. I started developing a relationship with my body that was based on love and respect and support and admiration, and that gave me a way to examine my ways of being in the world by examining my relationship with my body. I discovered patterns right and left. I learned what it felt like to be in alignment. I realized that I could actually gather and direct my energy. That was incredible to me. I learned how to connect with my center, with my core, and then how to move from that place. I found these deeply rooted patterns of constriction, and then I learned to cultivate softness and openness. I learned how to find grounding and steadiness, tapping into that a bit right now, even in the midst of instability. I learned that falling over was okay. It was a hard one. and that lo and behold, it actually didn't kill me to be uncomfortable. I learned what it felt like to find balance, and I learned how to let go. Definitely still working on that one every day. But I started developing a working relationship with my body, like I was saying, one built on love, support, respect, this mutual admiration. I started learning how to listen really, really deeply. And the more I was able to listen, the more that I realized that my body was trying to communicate with me all the time. There was useful information everywhere if I would slow down and listen and look. Day after day, I was incredulous and just grateful. It was so profound for me that everything I was learning on the mat was just profoundly related to everything else going on in my life. You know, the patterns and tendencies that I found in my body, they showed up in my relationships. The way I moved in my yoga practice was a microcosm for the way I moved in the world. And no matter what was going on, it was a really important part of it for me, that no matter what was going on around me and in my own internal world, I could always come to the mat, always. I could be exactly where I was and connect to something deeper, to a real feeling of myself. And every time I came to the mat to do yoga, I was coming home to myself. I felt so lucky to have a place that I could go and find my center, reconnect with what was important, with my felt sense of alignment and integrity. And that no matter what was going on, I could always come home to my body and my breath. I don't want to skim over what an incredible thing this is, that in the midst of some of the most challenging evolution I have yet to go through, I felt at home in my experience because I felt at home in my body. And as I was kind of waking up to my embodied sense of self, I felt myself drawn more and more to nature. And as it turns out, nature is the greatest yoga studio you could ever find. I felt rooted in the earth. I could dig my feet into the ground and root and stretch my arms up to the sky and find this like strength and freedom, and feel my roots interconnected with the trees around me and feel like kin just surrounding me. I would sit by the river, put my feet in the water, and just feel the insecurities, feel the current just washing away the insecurities, the doubts, the disbeliefs, the judgments. Just let it all go. As I saluted the sun, I felt the passion in my body awaken. And I would gaze at the moon and put my hands on my lower belly and revel in this sensual fullness of my womanhood. I found patterns in my own life reflected everywhere in nature. I found guidance and wisdom in observing the way that things grow. I saw balanced relationships in the natural world everywhere. Relationships free of judgment, free of grudges, free of expectations. Everything just was as it was in relationship. It was so beautiful. I found myself in such awe of the natural world and so grateful for my place in it, for belonging. And there's a really simple, profound sense of joy that exists when we feel connected in this way. And then there was this other part of my life that was nourishing me on incredibly deep levels, and that's you guys. Being at CIIS and in the greater community, it gave me this feeling of belonging like I had never experienced before. I could just walk into the halls and feel like I was coming home. And, it blew my mind. I could have 15 seconds of eye contact with somebody and feel more deeply connected to myself and my world. Or I could, give or receive a hug that would literally change my life. I could show up no matter what was going on for me and feel heard and feel loved. Be raw and naked and vulnerable and loved all the more for it. Or simply being there with my community. It brought me into my highest vibrations, and it elicited this passion and this integrity. It really inspired me to change the world. And again, I don't want to skim over what an incredible thing this is, that My community inspired me to live my truths and to change the world. It's incredible. So there's a common thread here, and it's about connection. My life changed radically when I connected with my body. My world gained meaning when I connected with nature, and my soul evolved when I connected with my community. So as a humanity, right now, we're suffering from a really profound sense of disconnection from ourselves, from each other, from the earth, which supports us. And this kind of disconnection leads us to act in ways that harm one another, our communities, our future generations, our own bodies, because we're disconnected from the harm, we're cut off from the pain that we're inflicting on each other and on ourselves. We're disconnected from our bodies. And when we're disconnected from our bodies, we're disconnected from our ground of being, our ground of experience. We're disconnected from our strength. We're disconnected from our vitality, from our passion. We're disconnected from our sense of balance, our sense of right and wrong. When we're disconnected like that, we can't feel anything. And we're destroying our world because we're not connected to it. So now the question becomes, how can we cultivate experiences of connection which translate into healthier relationships, harmonious communities, sustainable living, and meaningful lives? So, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you what I think we need to do. We need to reawaken a sense of belonging to something bigger so that our life becomes sacred and meaningful. We must learn what community feels like and how it supports us and how to cultivate it. We need to reconnect to our bodies so that we can harness our evolutionary wisdom and step more fully into our lives, connect with our humanity. We need to cultivate a deeper listening, a trust in the voice of our heart that might not play by the rules. We must embrace our sensuality and our sexuality in a healthy, embodied way that restores vitality, creativity, passion, expression, and in a way that fosters the authentic expression of our deepest selves. And we must consciously reconnect to the earth and allow her to teach us about balance, sustainability, diversity, community, connection, beauty, cycles, patterns, all of it. And if we're too stubborn or too proud or too scared to learn from nature, we will never be able to fully embrace our place in it. And it starts with the young ones. I think we need to give the utmost attention to the children who are just learning that they have this capacity to choose. The young adolescents who are trying to find their ways of being in the world, who are bombarded by messages about what is right, what's true, what's enough. They're desperately trying to find their place in the world, who they belong with, and what they belong to. Our children have to learn how to relate to one another in a way that is authentic, where they're in touch with a sense of feeling, so that they can follow what moves them, so that they can speak from their hearts and embrace their inner wisdom. Because it's there, and it will guide each of them to their fullest expression of self. Self, as Young would say with a big S. So, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a program. This is a working title, but just to give you an idea. Awakened Connections, where we work to cultivate compassionate community and natural wisdom through embodied awareness and nature-based inquiry. So this will be a program for adolescent girls that focuses on somatic, introspective, nature-based practices. The program will hopefully be partially funded because it's really important that this work be accessible to girls, people on the whole spectrum of the economic and social backgrounds. If we want to cultivate a pervasive, a broad, inclusive sense of compassion and connectedness we have to practice in diverse community. The program will take place over the course of a year, maybe 2. Small groups of adolescent girls will take a journey together. They'll come together once a month for a full weekend to explore their sense of self in a natural setting. And in this way, the girls have the chance to go back to their lives and integrate what they've been learning and this way of being, and still return on a regular basis to this community and this way of being in the world. We'll have an initial gathering where we devote ourselves to creating a container. We'll consciously create the foundations of a community where everyone feels heard and expressed, emphasizing compassion, safety, belonging. We'll explore what we're here to do. We'll set intentions to guide our journey, introduce the concept of mindfulness, play around with some of those practices, really kind of set the tone, set the container at the beginning. In the following weekends, we'll each focus on a theme that will guide our inquiries and our activities. And I created a kind of tentative curriculum that I'll share with you. And I'll just kind of talk briefly about it. I'd be happy to go into more detail later, but for the sake of time, these are kind of ideas to guide the weekends. So to begin, we'll kind of explore our internal landscape and look at what beliefs we hold consciously or unconsciously and how they affect the way that we act in the world. We'll explore our patterns, look at how they might serve us or not. We'll look at the state of the earth and how we are in relationship to it. It might be a bit sobering. Then we'll cultivate self-love and acceptance and an appreciation for our bodies. We'll observe mindfully how the elements of nature are present within us and how they can each serve us at different times in different capacities. We'll spend time connecting with nature, seeing what inspires us in nature, seeing what scares us, and seeing how we're connected to the cycles of life. We'll practice deep listening to our own bodies, to each other, so that we learn to hear the wisdom within and without. We'll practice speaking and moving authentically. We'll learn what we can do to feel grounded and stable and where we can find strength when we need it. We'll learn what balance feels like, what it looks like, how to cultivate it. We'll practice simply being together. We'll meditate together. We'll sing together. We'll eat together. We'll tell stories together. We'll be together in community. We'll engage in ritual and ceremony and explore what that means and how that impacts us. We'll explore what it means to be an embodied woman and create a really safe space to explore all the sensations and feelings and questions and thoughts that come up around sexuality and our relationship with our bodies. We'll practice being in relationship, giving and receiving, setting boundaries, practicing forgiveness. We'll explore the feeling of alignment and integrity by feeling it in our own bodies. We'll practice taking responsibility for ourselves, for the world. And we'll plant seeds and learn how to nurture them as they grow and blossom. So throughout the program and after its conclusion, the girls will be connected with mentors in their communities who support their journey. There'll also be a service component which connects the girls with their broader communities, as well as opportunities to come back to the program in more of a leadership role. Really, spanning the web, reaching out. Overall, our goal is to cultivate compassionate, aware, individuated young women who are equipped to participate in this necessary evolutionary transformation that's before us. And being equipped means having the awareness and the resources to move through challenging situations with clarity and integrity and compassion. It means being able to slow down and listen closely. And the resources that we have for that are right here, in our bodies and our hearts. And it is my deepest desire to support the next generation in learning how to tap into that. been such a profound sense of guidance, wisdom for me. And if we can awaken our sense of connection, I believe the world will transform, because mine sure has. I also want to just quickly introduce my business partner right here with me. She's helping me out.
That was one of the most beautiful expressions of a person's truth that I've ever seen in my life.
That was really, I mean, when you were talking about your experience and arriving at where you are right now, I could feel, tingles. I could feel it in my body. That was really, really, really beautiful. And when you were talking about your program, I felt just a little bit of hesitation because I felt like it's a beautiful, beautiful, what you're envisaging is so amazing and it'll be empowering for so many young women, and at the same time I want you to create a space for diversity and how do you address diverse expressions of culture and ethnicity and race and class and things like that, because there is a way in which we all come together and are together, and there is a way in which we all cannot come together, so or are not together, let's say. So being able to hold difference.
Right.
And so that's something I'd love for you to.
I really appreciate you bringing that up. We've talked a lot. Whitney's been an awesome inspiration, and that just diversity is a big thing for her and for me as well. And I agree. I think that, we have to be able to hold different, the tantric perspective, that we're unique, we're different, we're not separate. We're unique manifestations of this greater whatever. And I think that's really important, how to hold difference. So thank you for bringing that. And I'd love to hear if you have any ideas.
I want to just say thank you, not just for what you give to us right now, but also for your will, and your will too, of bringing your inspiration to other souls. So it's not just a beautiful idea, which is great to me, but it's a beautiful and beautifully planted idea which will grow in different ways. So I'm really touched by that. Thank you.
When I was just listening to Marina, and just had this feeling that you became so connected to nature and your partner, that nature is using you to express itself out into us, that you're part of a new, what's the word I'm looking for?
Medium.
A new what?
Medium?
New medium. Just a new way of being in the world that has to come about in order for us to survive as a species. But I think you're the vanguard. You're part of the vanguard.
Practical boys, ta-da! And that comes from me being a dreamer and just resonating with every word that you said. I'm like, oh, she's speaking everything that I've been thinking and feeling in the last 2 years, which is amazing because I don't have to say it. You did a beautiful job expressing the process that I can deeply relate to, and I'm also thinking like there's so much on the practical note, like there could be so much that may emerge in a process, and I feel like there's all this light, but immediately I go to the shadow. I'm like, what happens if girls are traumatized? Like, who's going to be there to hold that level of healing? And just wanted to throw it out there that all kinds of stuff emerges, and we're all young, and we have beautiful intentions, but also to consider that there might be a need for maybe an elder.
Yeah, we've talked about
Yeah.
that for sure, bringing in elders and having a greater community of like other leaders, definitely for sure, people who are equipped and who are more familiar with different elements that might come up in doing, because it's going to be deep work.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot to handle, so
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you have enough support.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Thank
the
you.
girls
I mean,
get
we're
enough
open for
support.
support, please, for sure. So, yeah.
Maybe like a
Thank you.
psychotherapist
Yeah.
as part of the group who
Yeah.
can handle if deep emotional trauma comes up.
Yeah.
They can handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Piggyback on that, I think also what you're doing, which is beautiful, is that you're trusting in your inner guide. So as important as it is to have elders around or have at least some sort of chance for advice or mentorship, I think trusting your inner guide will really help everyone along as well, because as an adolescent, how often do you want to hear an elder tell you what to do? You want to be with peers, you want to figure it out yourself, you want to do your own thing. So I think that technique is a really powerful way to do it as well. So.